sector-driven investment promotion engine charged with promoting Puerto Rico as a competitive jurisdiction to attract new businesses and capital investments to the island. I'm here today on behalf of the International Economic Development Council, the world's largest professional trade association representing economic developers and the practice of economic development. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to provide testimony on the important issue of economic prosperity post-disaster and the role that the Economic Development Administration has in its recovery efforts. I'd also like to extend congratulations to Dr. Fleming. I know he had to leave, but as someone who has recently transitioned into a new role, I wish him wish him well and offer our support. My first interaction with the EDA was post-Hurricane Katrina through the New Orleans Business Alliance, where I served as the Chief Executive Officer. Hurricane Katrina was one of the worst disasters our country had seen. In New Orleans, the EDA made several strategic multi-year investments in the creation of the New Orleans Business Alliance and a variety of other entities. The New Orleans Business Alliance, which is a public-private partnership, is the lead economic development organization for the city of New Orleans, and it's a full-service economic development organization, which means it engages in many core functions ranging from business retention and expansion, credit analysis and finance, real estate development, marketing and attraction, and many other activities. Through the critical investment of federal funds from the EDA and the activities of the New Orleans Business Alliance, the city's been able to rebuild and thrive. From the perspective of economic developers, the post-disaster environment is not unlike that of other professions. It involves assessment, planning, and execution. The process is like most of our work. It's a collaborative process. We engage with elected officials, business and civic leaders. We often act as conveners to advance programs, policies, and projects that will lead to the retention and creation of jobs in our communities. While healthcare, safety, and welfare action must come first following a disaster, economic developers are hard at work, sometimes behind the scenes, enabling economic recovery. Economic needs following disaster can take many forms, from homeowners to business owners. There's an abundance of need, and unfortunately, much of it goes unmet for too long. From the perspective of economic developers, economic recovery is no different. The practice areas that economic developers operate in, business retention, expansion, infrastructure development, marketing and traction, and so on, it isn't hard to see that the need is both great and it's varied. Does the community have a current economic development strategy? Do we have the resources to connect with our businesses and aid them in the short, medium, and long term? How can we move economically critical infrastructure projects forward? That's sewer systems and broadband and ports and so on, that are not part of the initial response, but are essential to recovery. What projects have we been putting off due to the lack of resources that are now vital to restarting the economic engine of the community? Where will the resources from this come from? This is where the EDA comes in. EDA has invested nearly $20 million in disaster supplemental funding in Puerto Rico, and that's just the beginning. The projects support myriad components of our economy through a combination of technical assistance and infrastructure work. From supporting local retail to building facilities to house incubators, the EDA is helping to create a stronger, more resilient economy in Puerto Rico. The EDA also supports the work of organizations like the International Economic Development Council. IEDC has for many years now participated in recovery efforts, including providing technical assistance and training, as well as marshaling volunteer economic developers like myself, who are eager to go to disaster-impacted areas to help their counterparts rebuild. The EDA, like organizations such as Invest Puerto Rico, can't do it alone. We need sustained, consistent input and support from our elected officials and from our businesses and from those living in our communities. Economic development doesn't happen in a vacuum, and it really succeeds when everyone participates. Thank you.
Well, I thank all the witnesses. You've done a good job of not only giving us examples of success for the EDA, but offering some very constructive suggestions as we move forward with the reauthorization. The 7-year suggestion for the RLF is something that we certainly take note of. That's